Welcome, friends, fiends, and familiars, to the Comic Fiends Comic Friends. On this show, I bring on friends to talk about comics. This week, I've got my friend, Kwamatics. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you are an illustrator. You do some YouTube stuff. I see some vlogs and cool time-lapse drawing videos. New father of two.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, keeping me busy, keeping me distracted too.
Yeah. We made the mistake of wait. He has two? We have not checked in too long.
Yeah, and I don't know. We probably met 10 years ago or something.
Yeah, just about. Oh gosh. But yeah, you're a real positive dude. Always had really good energy. And thank you for coming on to talk to me about comics.
Yeah, totally. But I'm a little older, so I think my energy's toned down a little bit. And, I work.
You're here.
You're
here. That's fine. Yeah.
Full time in an office cubicle, right? And dude, I have to be so quiet.
Oh,
it's killing me inside. I'm dying a little bit. But
yeah,
someday I'll be out. I'll be out there. So
yeah. I mean, I feel you, man. We got. This is a part-time thing. This is an extracurricular activity, right?
Hopefully someday it turns into something bigger, right?
Hey, yeah, that'd be great. I guess getting into comics, right? First things first, what kind of comics do you read?
I'm not really into reading comics.
Really?
Just reading in general, but I really like art, and I follow artists, and if an artist can do a whole book, that I'm just in awe. I'm not really into keeping up with every single issue, but I do love appreciating the technique and craftsmanship that is put into a book.
Oh yeah? Huh. That's a sort of a first here, but I welcome it. I like finding different things or ways to appreciate stuff. Well, this is a different route, but I guess where would you say that you started there?
Comics. I've always had an interest in comics. It's just the reading aspect of it. I don't have the attention span to read in general. I just need to keep moving on what's next. I think it's an information overload kind of thing.
That's fair.
There's just so much out there. If you think about comic books in general, where do you start? You have to have someone else to tell you, recommend, you should start here based on your interests or whatever. But there is just so much. It's almost overwhelming. And do you start current stuff now, or do you go back 10 years, 20 years? Where? I
love it. Yeah, that's actually a really great question, or a good. I guess maybe that's sort of what I'm looking for here. With finding out what people get into or how they get into it. I guess a good place to start is anything that catches your interest, right? A lot of folks, it seems like they see something on TV, or somebody gives them a gift, or they just kind of happen on something, and from there, they try to explore or look into it further, right?
Yeah, totally. I have comic stories. I used to read Joe Mad's work for Battle Chasers.
Okay.
That was 2004, 10 years ago, almost 15 years ago. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, dang. So that there's a thing about that, and where I was at the time, I was looking for interest, and seeing Battle Chasers on the comic book rack at the store, I was drawn to the art instantly. And he's still known for really cool art, but he's also criticized that his art takes so long for him to do and publish, right?
I've heard it. I've heard of Battle Chasers. Most recently, I think there's a game came out pretty recently.
Yeah, and that's where my story started. Is that I was a kid reading Battle Chasers. There's only 9 issues, right? And then moving forward 10 years later, he picks up that project again, and he's going to release 3 continuation issues on the same storyline. So, like, I've been following that, and like, seeing that game, Battle Chasers game, and picking that up has brought back some nostalgia, some memories, right?
I'm actually not super familiar with Battle Chasers. You want to like expand on that?
I would say it is a magical fantasy story plot. I mean, there's robots, there's some hot girls, and all the above. It's a diverse cast, and it's very, very adventure fantasy.
Huh.
Yeah, some cool effects, lots of monsters, some pirates.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, for face value, yeah, it's worth checking out. And if anything, just check out the cover, and it'd make you want to open a book.
Yeah. So what little I'd heard about it is I guess the fantasy aspect of it. I don't know. Forgive me if I'm messing up here, but I got what you said, like a medieval fantasy, but then you just said that there's robots in it.
Yeah, there's like a big golem in it.
Oh, okay, got it. I was thinking like full mech Megazord thing.
No, not quite, but
yeah,
golem. That'd be cool too.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. It was like, whoa, giant robots. I'm instantly a little bit more interested.
Yeah.
But,
it does have a little bit of everything. So
yeah, but I dig golems. Golems are cool. So how did you get into that? That was just something you just happened to be at the store, and then you spotted this, and then you wanted to check it out, like, or was that?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went. Like my best friend at the time, was really into comics, and he heard stuff about some artists. Like, he was really into artists, less about comic book stories as well. But he was into it, whatever. But we're still kids, like in middle school, just like, hey, heard about this comic book from my cousin, we should go check it out. And that's kind of how I got into comics too. Just whatever we were drawn to and whatever we heard was cool at the time. Though there was very little internet back then.
Oh yeah. So what else caught your eye back then?
That's like J. Scott Campbell's work. So it's like Gen 13, but right as he coming off of Gen 13, he got into Danger Girl.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Danger Girl. I can't recommend that one enough too. That's just like girl action adventure, kind of Indiana Jones with more guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I had to think like I think I've seen Danger Girl before.
Are you familiar with J. Scott Campbell's work with?
I've seen it. I think he also is. I don't know if this is just sort of people aping his style a bit, but I think people would kind of mimic him or maybe this actually was him doing kind of like dark takes on Disney princesses and fantasy, like Alice in Wonderland and stuff. Am I thinking of the right artist?
Yeah, I don't know about dark take, but yeah, he does draw his girls very
pinup style.
Yeah, pinup style.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, pinup style would be more accurate because I could talk about like hypersexualized, but I don't think it's hypersexualized. Yeah, it's sexy, and it's just known for that style. And then he's also criticized that all those women kind of like the same or the same proportions and stuff like that. Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely kind of similar features across. Like, I think kind of like higher cheekbones and a pointed nose. Like, I think that just comes to mind if I think about what I've seen. Is that really common across them? Like,
especially lately, I think.
Oh, is that right?
I think more lately. Like, he had more diverse characters back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like more features. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that sort of happen sometimes with. I guess artists who are pretty big, let's say in the 90s, like maybe they'll get, I think that's not fair, but to speak broadly here is sometimes they'll get really comfortable with a certain way. Maybe it's easier to produce comics that way because that's a big factor, is making sure that you can turn your stuff in on time.
Right.
And so then production gets in the way of creating new or exploring new art.
Oh, but you say that about the 90s, like the characters of the 90s.
Well, I mean, if you take artists like, big names that came out of there, like Jim Lee, and I think he's probably doing fine, but well, I mean, unless you have opinions on that, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, well, I would think so. Is he still head editor at DC?
I think so. I know he was doing the art for. Gosh, honestly, I'm not keeping up with what DC's up to right now.
I'm telling you, man, there's just so many. It's just so much to cover. Like,
it's true.
Yeah, and it's a lot of quality, good stuff, and so it's hard.
Mm-hmm. Are there any artists that you're keeping up with? That, I mean, it doesn't have to be, a particular story, but just stuff you like.
Stuff I like. I like Art Germ stuff.
Art Germ,
and he does more covers than anything.
Yeah,
he's not an actual comic artist, but he'll do covers. He's just an artist. Definitely check him out. He does a lot of DC stuff.
Okay, yeah, I think I've seen some of that.
He's doing a lot of Supergirl lately.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, he came out on DeviantArt, doing mostly fan art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then he's more of like a cover artist. Then I see what you're saying. Just a quick search here to make sure, or to check in. But yeah. I've seen that Supergirl around. I've seen that. I didn't realize that was he did a Pop Team Epic. That is a treat. Wow.
Is that recent or?
It would have to be, I think. I'll send it to you either. I can send that to you.
Yeah, you send it later.
Yeah, send it later. That's something special right there. That's cool. Yeah. I wonder. I don't know if you know anything about this, but like how he got like contracted for that kind of work. Is that, or he just it caught the publisher's attention, and so then he probably got some contracts.
Yeah, I think that's how it happened.
Okay.
If you go back maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe, where he did this project where he created like a fictional magazine called Justice. And he put DC characters on the cover of this fictional magazine, and so it looks super legit, like it could be a real magazine, and it's just so good. I'm pretty sure that's how he got really known in terms of like, DC would be commissioning him to do covers because he created a project that really showcased his strengths doing covers.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, there's a nice like mix of them too. Like I'm seeing not only the DC heroes, but like
it's like Miss Marvel on there.
Yeah, G-Force or Gotcha Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's really cool. Oh, is that actually him? There's the looks like a Justice League Power Rangers crossover thing too. Pretty spiffy.
Pretty sure he did all of those.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's definitely his style.
So how did you end up finding Artgerm then? Was that were you looking for something, or did you just
happened upon his DeviantArt page when DeviantArt was sort of coming up? This is 2005-ish.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
DeviantArt's geez, is it? I haven't gone to DeviantArt on purpose, I think, in a good few years now.
It is like, I don't know. There's a lot of people on it. It's kind of crazy.
It's still active?
Yeah, it is. It's just like all these other platforms. Like, there comes a point where it gets saturated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you stand out? How do you market yourself? How do people get to see your stuff? That in terms of monetization, these platforms are all about money, right?
Yeah.
At first, to get more users, you make it free and you make it accessible, and then there comes a point where now you have to like crank up the dough because you have to get paid, and then they start changing how content is shared, and it's either you pay like paid advertisers, or like, hey, put I'll pay YouTube to put my ad in front of this video so that I can get more clicks and get more exposure. And I believe that if there's more people, it's harder to stand out, and now you have to use money to get yourself out there. So DeviantArt now is sort of like that too. It's where it's saturated, and you do have to market yourself other ways. So you still use DeviantArt as a platform to like show your stuff, but not really market yourself like it was before. And that's just because there's just a lot more people now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jeez, I remember using it, back in maybe 2004, just as my kind of interim host for my webcomic thing that I was trying to do. I don't know. I fell off. Instead of being inspired, I think I for whatever reason got intimidated by all the cool stuff that was there.
That stuff, like you get that like imposter syndrome where you just feel like I'm not good enough for this. And I still struggle with that today, man. Like,
well, what do you mean exactly?
So whenever you make a post, right, like you want to show people your artwork, and you always have that inclination right before you hit post that like, is this really good enough to like show people? Like, will people even like this? And you start to think that, or you have to start self-doubt. You know, like, maybe I'm not good enough to even post this, and like, what if someone calls me a poser or something like that? So even if you've been like drawing and doing comics for like 10 years, you still kind of have that in the back of your mind. It's one of those self-critics or inner critics.
Right. Yeah, I think that's tough.
Yeah.
I think that I want to say that to a reasonable person, I guess, that sort of fear should be present a little bit, if not maybe not in a crippling way or in a way that sort of prevents you from creating, but at least a fear or concern that what you're putting out can be improved, having the recognition that it's not necessarily your best work yet, that there's still room for improvement, because otherwise that's when you can stagnate.
Yeah, that's all about being positive, like looking toward the future, right? And that takes practice.
And then being able to take a actual criticism, like an actual constructive criticism, versus somebody just trying to put you down,
like a troll, like an internet troll. No.
Or or even just recognizing that something negative that could be said shouldn't stop you, right? Either find the value in the criticism of it so that you can make something out of it, right? Yeah. Getting real inspirational here.
It's super positive, but
but no, I mean, even in this podcast format or more recently sort of voice stuff, I don't know that I'm gonna get the right thing out there on the first try. Like, it's naive to expect that, and to receive either like, hey, can you try this, or hey, the tone actually should be more like this. That's wanting to get it right the first time is good, but then accepting that you are sort of serving or producing something for somebody to use or enjoy.
Yeah, like if you don't put it out there, no one can enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
There's a thing called, I think it's like finished but not perfect, or finished but not perfect. So it's because it doesn't have to be perfect. It's better to be finished than to be kind of like hanging out there, or like you keep redoing it but you never really call it done. As you're chasing perfection. And I think you're doing it right, man. Just you gotta get into reps to get more buff.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So I noticed that, or I was going, sort of peeking through your Instagram and stuff, and it looks like there's a nice mix of like game art inspiration here. And what are your influences here? What sort of inspired you to start drawing and putting stuff out there?
And it all came down to my trip to Japan in, I think, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like that was the time that I thought that, hey man, the art is cool, and why shouldn't I learn how to get better at it? It's always been an interest to draw and stuff, but to seriously take the step to do those reps, yeah, it came from a trip to Japan and go to like Akihabara in Tokyo.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you're just surrounded by just art and wild characters and stories. And yeah, you just can't help but be inspired by it, like be a part of that and have that inclination of like, I need to create. And I mean, I've always been a designer, but now I'm taking the step to be an illustrator because of that trip.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, Akiba is kind of a mecca for nerds, isn't it? Like, like it's one of those.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Like you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta see it. Like all the wonders and the horrors of the place. I guess. Like
there's like a unwritten checklist of stuff that you have to do, right?
Hmm.
Like you gotta hit up a maid cafe or one of the cafes.
Huh.
Have you gone?
Yeah, well, not the maid cafe, but we did go to, we were in Japan in 2016, and we definitely made the trip to Akiba, and it was like, yeah, it felt right being there, I guess. It felt
right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
You get it. I think it was the thing that we're greeted by, as you get there, if you, we took the, I mean, I don't know why you would take anything else, I guess, but we took the train, and when you get into the station, like the first thing we saw was just their little they had, I guess they changed this every day or every week, but they had all these gashapon machines just set up like as you enter the station from, I can't remember the line that we took. I want to say we got off on the Chuo line, and they just have rows of gashapon machines that like they were just people were checking out, or and it just had all sorts of different stuff, and I felt like that was very telling of what, like a microcosm of what we were going to see outside.
Yeah, it is mini, like gacha capsules are tiny, right?
Yeah,
you step out of the station and everything's a lot bigger,
of course,
but
yeah,
same stuff though, like same type of things.
And then of course, once you actually go out and start going in all the buildings, like the Animate building and the what else? I guess the shoot. What was it called?
Kotobukiya?
Yeah, I think that's it. The Kotobukiya building. Yeah, like those are pretty famous Akiba landmarks, right? But I think that it's not just Akiba too. I mean, like, well, maybe this is consuming Japanese media and it being sort of famous with actually going and seeing Shibuya, like.
Oh, the crossing.
Yeah, crossing all the spots that show up in what was it? The World Ends With You. Like, I don't know if you've played that one, but
I have not. Wait, that's a game?
Yeah, it's a Square Enix game that came out. It's sort of a death game that takes place in the middle of Shibuya. They kind of relabel everything, so it's not all the same. All the copyright stuff's not there, but I mean, it's all there. It's just named different stuff.
It's a Square Enix game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So okay. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, it's real interesting. I think it's on mobile and stuff. Originally it was on like the DS, but they put it out on other things. But I think if you're into that kind of style, it's a really interesting take on, I guess, fashion as expression or as combat even.
But it's more modern day though, right? Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
And is it action or is it more like slice of life or is it
action? Yeah, it's like a survival game.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently when you die you go to Shibuya, like an upside down version of Shibuya, so.
Oh, like a wild distorted Shibuya?
Kinda, yeah. I don't remember all the details right now, but it seems normal until you start getting into like, I guess, parts where there's a lot more people, and the concentration of people can sort of sway or affect. I don't know. I think I might be mixing up a couple of things now, but it's really neat. I think it's cool. So going to Japan and seeing this stuff and taking it in, that made you want to commit to improving your art.
Yeah, totally. Still working at it. I think it's like a never-ending thing. So.
Oh yeah.
I think soon after that, I did a 100-day challenge. It's like the 100-day project, where you do something every day, and you post it for 100 days. I did that leading up to my first child. Yeah. So I was getting into digital painting, and I did a digital painting every day, and I got more buff doing that.
Wow.
So like these challenges that you do something every day, it's called deliberate practice, and that's how you get better for sure. Like you will not get better unless you try not to get better, but you'll get better by doing it every day. And 100 days going, or you can do like 30 days. Another challenge that's coming up would be anime in May. May.
Uh-huh.
And so you do some sort of like anime themed art every day for the month of May.
That's a pretty good way to do it.
So
that seems it's fun.
A bunch of those. There's Inktober too.
So, oh yeah. Seen some of that.
So doing ink drawings every day for October or Inktober.
Yeah, I had a buddy doing something in March called March of Robots.
Oh yeah. I haven't done that one, but I have seen that one.
Yeah, that one's cool. I think he ended up on the moment for it on Twitter, so it was like, oh man, like, way to go, dude. It's awesome.
Cool.
But yeah, he was doing like, what was it? I can't remember the exact like hashtag he was using for it, but he was like taking stuff like Winnie the Pooh, and he was turning them all into mechs.
Yes,
like
all totally rad.
Yeah, it's really. I'll send it to you after this because it's really cool to just look at. Like, well, I mean, I don't know what else you're doing with it, but yeah, it's really cool.
I don't know.
You're gonna eat it? Like, you're gonna what? No. Yeah. So yeah, that's. I guess I've sort of heard of the art challenges. I knew about Inktober. I think that's the one I've seen the most. But I didn't know about anime as one of them.
There's also Mermaid, but I'm not into that one as much. Where you do mermaids every day of May. Interesting.
Well, there's definitely an audience for that kind of stuff.
Oh, so. Totally.
Yeah. So is that something you're planning on doing?
I'm doing the anime one, end of May. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I like that idea. You said deliberate practice. I like the idea of that, and I know that kind of thing works. What is that? One of those 10,000 hours? I don't know. That's...
Yeah, I've heard that's like a made up number of. What was his name? Malcolm Gladwell. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like a arbitrary. It's around 10,000 hours, but then you also don't need 10,000 hours to be really good at something.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's the same idea. Is that you have to put in the reps to get better at it and get buff. And 10,000 hours is a ton of hours. Mm-hmm. That's like 5 years working full time at it, like for full time job.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like if you keep doing it, then like you'll look back at how far you've come and how much you've grown, but you won't really see it until you're at the other side of it. But you won't. Yeah. I mean, you already said it. If you're not doing anything, then you definitely won't improve.
Sure. Are you still doing any other creative things? Like, are you voice acting right now?
Yeah. Well, I am. I throw out auditions I'm trying to throw out auditions at least every 2 weeks. This is sort of the focus right now, working on the podcast stuff, because it's with auditions. It's the thing about like throwing out auditions is it's sort of whether or not you get cast dictates whether or not you're going to keep going forward. And in the last year, I've decided to be a little bit more picky about what kind of things I'm throwing like auditions out for, because I guess I've done a couple of things that like I felt stuck on, like I didn't actually want it, like it was just things that came up, and I didn't like the feeling that I was getting, that like, do I even like doing this if I'm doing it for something I don't like doing? And getting kind of picky with clients is another big deal, because just some clients are nicer than others, and being selective or knowing when to say no has actually done a lot for me and enjoying the work. But with the podcast has been really fun, like keeping up with stuff and talking to people, getting their perspective on things is really just like this is a really honestly this is a really unique one because I mean it usually ends up being like, well, what do you like, what are you into, that it's like well, I read this and this and this, but it's like to I guess we're kind of meta with this one, but that's cool. I'm digging it, you know.
Yeah, you know, so these things come up organically, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have this strict structure. That's kind of lame.
Yeah, I mean, like having the prompts or having sort of a layout helps keep it organized. But beyond that, I mean, I wouldn't demand you have answers to the questions, like, as much as I could. Yeah,
and that shows skill on your part as an interviewer too. That you could flex and bend and turn this into a piece of art. This conversation into a piece of art.
Sure. Yeah, I'll take it.
But I do think that you're doing it right. Kind of 80-20ing your projects, right? So you're cutting out all the stressful stuff like bad clients and auditions that may lead to crappy gigs, and putting more stress on the stuff that you really like this podcast or other stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's also good to say no so that it frees up time so that when something really cool comes along, you're not committed to something that you don't like.
Yeah.
There's also this thing called like, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no.
That's pretty good.
If you're not really juiced about it, then just say no.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or if you're checking on how you feel about something, and from a scale from 1 to 10, and you cannot say 7, because 7 is like right in that border. Like, I like it, but not enough to do it. So if you can't say 7, you say 6. That's like the cutoff. That's like a no. If it's an 8, 8s are pretty good, right? On a scale from 1 to 10, 8's probably pretty good. You should probably do it. You're more excited, but you can't say 7.
Interesting. I think that we only have so much time here. Why would you waste your time on the 7s if there are 8s and 9s and 10s that you could be working on or spending your time with, right? Mm-hmm. That makes
These are just simple rules that you can just refer to them like on the fly because they're just simple. They're easy, but they're effective.
Gotta take this kind of stuff to heart. I gotta write all this down, I think, after that.
I mean, when you go back to edit it, you're like, oh yeah, we talked about that. That's dope. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write it down.
No kidding.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it too.
Sounds good. Well, shoot, we got a couple of questions in this week. I know we kind of went in a little bit of a different direction with this, but I think it'll still be fun to kind of check out. First one comes from someone you might know, Simone.
Oh yeah.
Simone says hi.
Hey Simone.
And she checked out your one-shot RPG, and I think she's gonna try and run it. She's telling us to maybe don't do it yet because she wants to. Like, I don't know how it works exactly. She said not to read it, but
wait, she's running RPGs?
Yeah, she's running RPGs.
Dude, oh man, I need to talk to her again because I'm all about it, and I need to know how she feels about the game.
Yeah. Well, she might have us do that one soon, but yeah, she wanted to know, do you play any other tabletop RPGs, like any that you're really enjoying?
Some of my favorites would be like Dungeon World. I love Dungeon World. It's just so easy, clean, easy to pick up, and it's easy to Dungeon Master or Game Master that one. Mm-hmm. So Dungeon World is pretty sweet.
Dungeon World.
I play Dungeons & Dragons at work, so I got a little group going.
Nice.
But I mean, that's all I have really time for. I've played this game, which I really want to try again. I think it's called Tokyo Brain Pop.
I'm totally not familiar with any of these, but please tell me. I'm very interested.
All right. So Tokyo Brain Pop premises that you play high school students, and you all have psychic abilities, or you might have psychic abilities. So you kind of play it like an anime schoolgirl kind of anime. I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain it, but the rules are very easy. That's all on your character sheet. It's really small, and it's more like a one-shot RPG. Like, you get it done in one session. But you're all high school you're all high school girls and you have relationships around the table, so that you have your best friend to the right of you, and maybe across the table you have your rival, and you're all in this like little clique. And depending on the scenario, maybe one of the original like prompt is that one of your classmates goes missing, and we don't know why. But you, as high school students who may or may not have psychic abilities, or either has to figure it out, or how do you cope with it? So depending on your relationships and what you guys do, like, do you guys go figure out what happened to that student, that classmate of yours, or do you just like go do something else together?
Neat. Yeah, I kind of want to check that out. Sounds pretty unique.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Tokyo Brain Pop.
Tokyo Brain Pop. All right. I'll make sure she checks this out. Or
I need to look up what the old name was. It was like totally inappropriate.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I think it was it was called Panty Explosion Perfect before. It's supposed to be played like anime.
Well, I'm a little more eager to say that I'm going to check out Tokyo Brain Pop versus the other title.
Yeah, it is Tokyo Brain Pop. Dungeon World is like Dungeons and Dragons, but based off the Apocalypse World engine. So the dice rolling is a lot easier. You're based off of playbooks, so you have your character on 2 pages, and all the abilities are on there. So it's really easy to just pick it up, put a name on it, put in your stats, and then play the game, because everything's there for you. You just kind of like, I want this ability or that ability, and then you're done. And if you level up, it's all on that sheet. So yeah, Dungeon World, pretty sweet. But Dungeons and Dragons is totally another beast of
sure.
RPG.
Yeah. Actually, so I think, I don't know if this was like one of her earlier attempts to start running a game with us, or if she'd just been in a few and wanted to try it. But I want to say back in, I'm going to say 2016, I sat in on one, or I joined in one. We gathered over at her place to play, and I had never played before, and really that was really the only experience I had with it. But I, instead of, trying everything or trying out weird or interesting things, I was trying to play it like a video game, which meant try to kill everything that moves instead of, interrogating or investigating or like any basically anything else. I'm like, kill it all. I'm going to cast a spell. And we succeeded at what we were trying to do in that session, I think, but I think she and some others were a little bit disappointed. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I can't.
No, it's tough, because when you look at you guys were playing Dungeons & Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when you see Dungeons & Dragons in the media, like on YouTube, and you see other people playing it,
yeah,
you generally don't see regular people playing it. You see like improv actors or actors, voice actors, people that play characters on a professional level, right? So that their go-to would not really be to go kill stuff. It would be, I'm going to go role-play this character. What would they do, and what would they say, and what would they say to each other? And then a lot of times that'd be hilarity ensues, because they're more there to put on a show.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when you see them on YouTube, they're like, this is super entertaining, I'm juiced up, I want to give this game a try. So then when you have someone who's playing for the first time, they haven't seen that, they're not exposed to that style of play. And so what kind of games have you played before? Because you are playing games, you play it like a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that is your fault at all. It is just kind of the fault of the medium, and also the expectations that you've gotten from other media like YouTube or Twitch.
I think you're probably right on that. I think just sort of when I'm in that situation, I'm kind of geared to look for a win condition versus, I guess, think about what actions I have or what I could have been doing in a creative way. But I mean, I'm not putting it on her or anything. I just thought it was silly. Because we ended up in a cave and there were some wolves, and like they could have baited them with the meat that we had, but I was like, I got to move first, and I just went for it. We came out of it unscathed, I think. I don't know what happened to my character after the fact.
Probably OP.
Yeah, might have been. Yeah. That's cool.
I mean, if you're doing voice acting, man, you should try. Have you tried improv classes?
No.
And getting on stage, dude. Yeah, it's a good avenue for you to practice your characters as well as thinking on your feet and it more adapting and just kind of letting go. Especially around the table when you play role-playing games, you do want to use improv rules like saying yes and trying to make everyone look good, make your stage partners look good and just fully committing and just going with it. So when you attack those wolves, I'd be like, yeah, let's go attack those wolves because I'm gonna fully support you and commit to it and just say yes and let's blow this cave up and just crush them with rocks and then now we're all stuck. Oh well, let's go find another way out.
Sure.
Yeah. Just fully commit.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that would be a valuable experience. I don't know that there's anything around here. I don't know. I think that being on stage would probably be a pretty healthy thing or pretty useful thing to do, but I don't know that kind of options are around where we are now. But yeah, I'll if anything opens up, I'll definitely look into it.
Yeah, for sure.
We got a couple of questions from Good Job Grandpa on Twitter.
Do you know who?
Friend of the show.
Yeah. Okay.
Friend of the show. Yeah. First one is if you were to make an arcade fighting game like Dragon Ball FighterZ, like who would you add in, or I guess what kind of cast would you have?
Oh man,
I imagine with a focus on comic or whatever you want, I guess.
Yeah, what characters would I want to see in crazy anime fighting game?
Yeah, sure.
What the hell? Yeah, there's so many. Like, where do you start?
First thing that comes to mind, I guess. Go with your gut.
Like, Danger Girl came to mind first.
Oh, okay.
But they're not really known for. Well, I mean, there is some fighting in it.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to strictly be a fighting game. You can extend it to whatever.
Well, Danger Girl had a video game, and it was sort of like old school, like PlayStation Tomb Raider, but it was really buggy, and the modeling wasn't like all there, and it wasn't a good game.
I see. So a good game version of that, then maybe.
If they remade it today, I think it would be more successful. You know how Tomb Raider right now has changed a lot?
Yeah, I've tried a little bit of it. Might have been Rise, the one that she just dies a bunch of horrible ways.
Oh, jeez, I don't know about that one.
I don't know if it's Rise or not, but yeah, I know what you're talking about, though. It's that sort of new, successful. I think they've done really well.
Yeah, I think just games have become more open, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of the technology that we can create these giant worlds. And I think Danger Girl would fit pretty well in that kind of adventure open world.
Right on. So different direction here, but
I answered it that I want to see Danger Girl's game come back.
Yeah.
I mean, Battle Chasers came back, so.
Okay, and then I guess the second question from Good Job Grandpa was, what are your thoughts on a live-action adaptations of known stories from manga and anime? Like, what kind of expectations do you have on Eastern versus Western adaptations? So, I mean, in recent years, we've seen a couple of like attempts at putting stuff on the big screen, and I argue, or at least have observed, that some I would say not so strong ones over here in the West, but it's not perfect over in Japan specifically, since we're talking about manga and anime. Like, I heard that new Full Metal was actually kind of rough.
Was there a Attack on Titan live action?
I heard there were a couple of those, but I haven't heard good things.
Yeah, so I don't think any anime has really done well.
That being said, there are a couple. I hesitate to cite this one with the recent controversy, but the Kenshin adaptation looked good when I saw it, and I liked the cast that they had for it. But I don't really want to linger on that. And then I have heard really good things about the Gintama and then the JoJo adaptation, which is really strange. I wasn't expecting JoJo to do well, but
okay. I formulated this theory that, like, the more abstract something is, the less it'll do well as live action. No, more abstract. Did I say more abstract? Yeah, the less. So there's this thing called the uncanny valley, right?
Yeah,
and that's really based on like how close to realism and how close to stylized or simplified you are, and if those try to meet somewhere in the valley, then it's just gonna feel weird, right?
Sure.
And so if you look at anime, a lot of it is really stylized and simple. So then once you put a real face to it, then your brain's impression of that simplified anime character is now real life. It's gonna be weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think based on that alone, the characters will kind of feel kind of weird. So
you're sort of saying like the less grounded it is, the more likely it is that it could be passable or okay. But if it's too close, or if they're approaching that look, then it's either not going to hit or it's not going to be interesting.
Right.
Maybe
it's probably more of a miss, more likely to miss.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
You mentioned the Kishin one, right? That's a samurai, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But samurais are real, like they're real people. They're samurai doing samurai things. But if you're doing like fantastic alchemy stuff, you think it would be cool, but I guess it's not cool.
I mean, I think a director can do a lot to make it like pop or make it like stick out. I personally, honestly, I tend to. There's some that I want to see, but I haven't put the time in, so I can't really accurately say that they're good or bad. But I think that early perception of it can get in the way.
Yeah, the only successful adaptations I can think of are like the Marvel ones, and I don't know why they've made those good. And this is because they really committed to an entertaining voice and that consistency throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Then you think of like Dragon Ball and a pile of poop that was.
Yeah, that one still hurts.
Yeah, never forget. So, yeah, maybe just stylized stuff, man. Western comics are more realistic in like how they're drawn and how they're portrayed. Like they look like they could be real people just in costume. So you put them in costume, and now it could be plausible. And with the better special effects, that it just seems more realistic now, more believable now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When you're doing like the full alchemy, like you're changing things into something else. I haven't seen it, but I could speculate that maybe something about that transformation, it throws people out. Like, it doesn't seem as believable when you see it on screen.
Yeah, I think in that kind of situation, there's already a stigma against like knowing that you're looking at CGI, and that kind of media or that kind of story guarantees that you're going to experience it. So, I mean, I don't know. Could be. It'd be pretty interesting to go and explore this and maybe think about actually having seen this.
Generally, I think that live action adaptations should be not done more often, because the success rate, or like the actual like done well rate, is really, really low, and it's not really getting better. So like, please leave the anime source material alone. Don't ruin it for the rest of us.
All right.
Just stop trying to take my money.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely
yeah, that's an opinion. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leave it.
It's okay.
Leave my One Punch Man alone.
Ooh, okay. All right. Well, since we're doing it a little bit differently here, I don't know. Would you have 3 things that you would want people to check out? It can be just artists that you think that people should really like, if not comics.
Okay, yeah. I think I would have 2. Well, besides check out Danger Girl and check out... Actually, Danger Girl is pretty good. There's like I was surprised at the end, even though it's a cliffhanger because he didn't really finish Danger Girl. I did like how she was playing out the story. So I would say Danger Girl. Check out Battle Chasers because it's being updated right now. And there's this book that people should check out. It's called Meanwhile, Pick Any Path. And it is this book by Jason Shiga. I hope that's how I pronounce the name. And if you check out the book...
I think I might have this.
Yeah?
Yeah. I received it as a gift. I think, if this is the one I'm thinking of. Let me
check. The panels, the comic panels, they lead into other panels, but they lead off to other pages so that there's numerous ways to get through the story, and I think that just the character is really, really charming.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I do have this. Yeah. I gave it a few shots. I don't think I think I might have gotten one good ending. I don't know how. I didn't like cheat and look up how many there are, but it was neat. Like how many. Like even picking the kind of ice cream can change how things play out.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, I think the guy was like a math major, and so she thought of how to make so many possible stories, right? And I think that kind of creativity and application into the medium of a comic is really fascinating, and I think it's something that you could appreciate.
Yeah, it's a lot of that cause and effect playing into that making an interactive reading experience.
Right.
I think at some point I got too many bad endings and I was like, okay, I'm not, I didn't feel like cheating, but I also didn't want to pursue it. But I think it's neat. I think it's definitely worth checking out. I think people in a second support your recommendation there for sure.
Cool. And yeah, it's just thinking about the medium differently. It's not just straight like comic book. It's a comic. And he said like it's interactive. So yeah, you're playing with the medium. I think that's cool. Maybe we should do more of that.
Choose your own adventure.
Maybe there be a renaissance, like a resurgence of choose your own adventure. I mean, that's what role playing games are.
Yeah,
like tabletop role playing games. You're creating your adventure together collectively as a group or a table. Maybe we are in that renaissance of choose your own adventure without calling it choose your own adventure.
Yeah, I think it's sort of evolved beyond that. Make your own adventure at this point.
Yeah.
Cool, man. This was awesome. Thank you for taking the time to hop on and talk about everything we talked about.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, and I hope I didn't derail it too much.
Honestly, this was super interesting and I had a good time. So if you had a good time and if people listening had a good time, then I think it's a success.
That's all we could really ask for. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the Comic Fiends Comic Friends. And don't forget, the Comic Fiend is your comic friend too.